big three or big four are there. We get to hear a lot more from these from the other candidates, and a lot more from Dr. Paul than we usually get to hear. And I think he represented himself very well.
You're right. It is refreshing, and we had the same experience. Sort of ironically, the two experiences that we had were, the Christian conservative, essentially white, kind of middle America Christian conservative debate, the values voter debate, where the big guys, so-called, were not there, and then in this case, the African American, more liberal, more Democrat-oriented debate, where they were not present as well, and they were both definitely more interesting experiences in general than we generally get.
Yes, and I know there's some chatter about Dr. Paul, sort of coming off as unrehearsed in some of these debates. At least to me, it reads. I enjoy that. I can see that, but I enjoy it. I think he comes off as being very earnest and honest, and that he is speaking in the moment from the heart.
I just had a moment of enlightenment. This is Mark Warsheka from the show that I did on.
Yes, from the No Waiting Show. Yes.
Yes, the No Waiting Show, folks. I'll let folks in on this. I was on this live stage show. It's basically a Bill Maher kind of politically incorrect style show, a live stage show, and it was in Hollywood on, I believe it was Tuesday night. Was that right? And had a great time on Mark's show. It was a lot of fun. And I think that we had a really good response to the Ron Paul freedom message on the part of the people in the audience. And I YouTubed it. It is up on my website, ronpaulfreedommessage.com, ronpaulfreedommessage.com, if you want to go and check out that online, folks. So go ahead, Mark. What were you saying about the debate? You were just making a point.
Oh, no, I would like to say in regards to this show, your passion and your enthusiasm certainly comes through here on the Ron Paul Freedom Message, and even more so in person. And I think you did a great job live on stage for our live audience at the show the other night, bringing the Ron Paul Freedom Message to them, and sort of, I think, opening a lot of people's minds up to what it is Ron Paul and you guys are doing. But I was just saying that I think that Ron Paul came through I think that he does come off as being unrehearsed, but I don't think that's necessarily in a negative way, because I think that he comes off as being earnest and honest, and that he's speaking in the moment from the heart, and everybody else, is so polished, both in the Republican and Democratic debates, that it's refreshing.
Yeah, it is, but I think when you go into a situation like this, and when it has all this specificity to it, this is a very specific thing. This is like the Black American debate, and there the specific issues that are going to be thrown at you. It seems like he could have benefited. And, this is me just talking off the top of my head and off of an impression. It's not like I've studied all the footage or listened to it all in depth. And we'll listen to a little bit more of it. But, I just felt like, he has given better responses to the questions that were asked elsewhere under other circumstances. And somehow he didn't quite nail it the way he normally does. That's just maybe my impression. Maybe that's just where my head was at in listening to it and watching it. And you might be totally right that he knocked the cover off the ball. But anyway, it's worth talking about. Now, little things like he said he used the term frequently. Well, blacks this and blacks. And it's just a little bit off for where you need to be today, I think, when you're talking on an issue of race. I think that Black Americans or African Americans or black people. There might have been a better, kind of phraseology. He could have been prepared better, I think, by the campaign with that kind of thing. Just again,
I understand. I have to say, I thought that all of the candidates last night, perhaps with the exception of Alan Keyes, came off a little bit unconnected to the African American audience at times. I think they each had moments like that where it felt like there was a bit of a disconnect, and
right.
I thought so. I understand what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, but I think that some of the other candidates were sort of even more egregious in that
right.
sense.
For sure.
Duncan Hunter not knowing or pretending to not know about the Gina 6 was really remarkable, considering the audience that he was coming to debate in front of and how huge that issue is. I thought that was a huge mistake on his part there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. I would say in comparison to the way some of the other candidates came off, I think that Dr. Paul certainly did do well. And I think that I guess maybe I had a certain thing that I was looking for, because I think it comes off of what happened in the values voter debate. And what I liked about what he did in the values voter debate was he didn't pander at all. He could have gone into that values voter debate and told them things that they wanted to hear. Instead, he stood on the Constitution and he said, for example, on the abortion issue, okay, he personally does not believe in abortion and believes that abortion is wrong, but he also knows that we need to have the rule of law and the respect for the Constitution, and that decision is constitutionally left to states and local communities to decide, regardless of what his personal opinion was. And he stood on that. And I thought that the issue in this here, and he talks about this often, and I think, again, I don't think he actually brought this up. What I was looking for, he talks about this often, which is we are not groups which have certain, privileges or special considerations. We are individuals. We are, individual human beings, not groups. Rights, as he says frequently, rights do not belong to groups, they belong to individuals. And the whole problem that I have with the scenario of the debate itself was we are this racially identified group, and we have our rights and sort of privileges or whatever special considerations that accrue to us by virtue of, this designation as a special group. And I think that's a large part of what Dr. Paul is trying to get us to move away from, is all these special interests that are formed around special groups, whatever it might be, and it ranges the gamut all the way from the conservative to the liberal, and every demographic and every political, concern that you can think of. And to get back to the recognition of the importance in the centrality of the individual, I guess I was looking for that, and I didn't feel like it came across, and I came away feeling a little bit sort of frustrated with that. Now, I may have missed it. It might actually be in there, and I didn't quite get it. Now, did you get any of that?
I did not. I did not feel that coming through clearly either. Do you think that it's possible that Dr. Paul deliberately didn't make that same point that he had made at the Values Voters debate in order to pander a little bit to this audience last night?
Well, I think that anybody in that situation is going to feel somewhat intimidated because of the way the liberal mindset has set us up for self-censorship, where, you have to be really careful about what you say because you might offend somebody, and there's this whole politically correct thing, and I think it affects everybody, where you have the politically correct thing, where you self-censor. yourself, and you don't say what you think or feel because you don't want to offend anybody or be viewed as racist or be viewed as sexist or be viewed as homophobic or be